What's going on, guys? So we are back for another video today, and today is part 2 of our paludarium build. Alright, before we get into today's video, I am going to ask you to do one thing, and that is simply to comment below and to like the video. So if you haven't liked the video yet, definitely go ahead and do that. But the comment I need from you is that I need an idea for animals. So this particular type of enclosure, it can actually house 3 different types of animals, and the reason is the beautiful thing about a paludarium is at the bottom you have a nice aquatic level. This particular aquatic level is going to be 10 gallons. So it will be a 10-gallon aquarium. In the aquatic portion of this particular enclosure, I'm thinking of neon tetras, just simply because, you know, they're kind of rainforesty, tropical kind of thing. So then on top of that, you have the terrestrial level where you could put a land animal, and then followed by up in the top, which is the arboreal section, which is actually what we're working on today in this video. So all I'm asking you to do, like the video, comment below, let me know what type of animals you think that I should put into this enclosure. So basically what we're going to be showing you is how we laid out the structure of our design, how we're going to foam all of that in using waterfall foam, how we're going to cut that back just using a regular knife, how we're going to be putting on silicone after we've cut the foam in order to give it a dirty, textury look, just like it was a piece of nature. If you have not watched the first part of the video, then you can do that absolutely right now. And all you have to do, click this link right up here. Yep, you see this? There's going to be a little eye right here with a little gray circle around it, and if you click on that, it's going to open up this window that's going to come out from this side over here, and you can actually see the video, the title, the thumbnail, everything, and you can click right there and you can watch it, or you can save it and you can watch it later, or whatever you want to do. But anyway, so if you haven't seen that, definitely watch it. So without boring you more on an intro, let's just get into today's video. The third part will be coming soon, where we will probably be talking about how we're going to plant it. So let's get into this today. Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, we are back for another video today, and this is part 2 of the paludarium build. So what today is going to consist of is laying out the actual plumbing, if you will, and electrical, and all the other requirements that go into a paludarium build, and then filling this thing with some foam and things like that. But we'll get into what all that's going to be like here in just a minute. But for right now, let's get inside and see what we're going to do. Well, I just walked into the room and everything's ready to go because
I gotta stay prepared, gotta get ahead of the game, and we're ready to go.
Basically, let me just go through what we have here. So we have a fountain pump. It's got a 3-foot pumping height. We have fountain pump hose. We have some zip ties. We have some brown silicone. 100% silicone type 2. That just basically means that it's 100% silicone and it has no acrylic or anything in it like that. 3 cans of waterfall foam. Some coconut soil bedding. A bunch of cork, which is actually in here. We have a wood dowel, which we'll talk about what's going to happen with this. I would have never thought about this, but the expert totally told me why we needed that, and that's what we're going to start with. Now, if you guys remember, when I built my waterfall for my turtle enclosure, I had this stuff on my hands for like 16 years afterwards. And I never thought to use gloves, and we definitely have gloves for that.
Rubber gloves are the key for using that foam.
Exactly. Obviously we have the paludarium, but here we have plants. That right there is called a butternut
squash.
That's called a yellow butt plant. I think that's a lemon button fern.
Good job.
Yes.
Nice job, Chris.
This right here is called a splash assorted. I don't even know what that means. That fern back there has gotten twice the size it was when we got it.
Yeah, it's getting giant.
That's a bromeliad.
Yep.
That one's dead because Christian has a black thumb.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. So sometimes it happens, but that is the same exact plant right there, and he's going to be nice enough to replace it with a piece of that. So.
And this one's very well established, as you can see. It's getting nice and big right out of the cage. It kicked the doors open when it was ready, just said.
There you go. Look at that. And then we have some sheet moss, and we have some, what other moss do we have?
Oh, we have sheet moss and we have pillow moss on top.
Yeah,
there.
so we have pillow moss up in the containers there, and then we have sheet moss right there. And we are also going to, when we get into this, we have a bunch of bioactive things, which are the orange isopods.
Oh, there goes one right there.
Yep, so we have orange isopods, and then there's also springtails. Look at that. Now, is this big one an isopod? Or okay, so it's basically like a roly-poly?
Pretty much, yeah. Just a colorful cooler.
Okay, well that's cool. So for all of you kids out there watching, actually, and adults, I don't know if kids really do this anymore, but as a kid I did, because I was always in the woods, I was always around the lake. I used to pick up roly-polies and take them home and pretend like they were my pets. Well, for all you kids and adults out there doing that, just remember, they're the Earth's cleaners, which means that they're out eating all the animal poop, and they have it all over their feet and their face and their bodies. So just remember that the next time you pick them up and decide to take them home. So this is another part of the supplies. This is a egg crate light cover that you see like in ceiling tiles and industrial type buildings that cover the light. It's really like a light diffuser is really kind of what it acts as. But what Chris is going to do is he's going to cut this down, and he's actually going to build a paludarium shelf, which is what allows the terrestrial portion of this paludarium to sit up out of the aquatic portion. And basically it's just building a box out of this, zip tying it together, and then covering it with multiple layers of weed barrier. And that is really just to keep the land from falling through this egg crate thing into the water, dirtying up the water. But it still allows for the water to fall through. That's what this is for. And now he is totally rigging up this little holder thing because as he just said off of camera, this door is so heavy. As we're working on this thing could, you know, fall off, break, whatever, and we obviously do not want that to happen since this is our second paludarium, as the first one had a chip in the glass. And especially if we get all this going and then we break it, that'd be terrible. In this step, basically what Christian is doing here is he is placing 1.5 inch PVC pipe in the corner of the paludarium. We're literally just trying to figure out which side it should really go on, because this is going to be used as our electrical plumbing, if you will, that will allow us to run the cables from both the internal filter as well as the waterfall pump up to the top of the cabinet, allowing for the replacement of either of those components in case they go out. Now here he is placing a piece of duct tape at the point where we should stop foaming. We don't want any foam to go below that piece of duct tape, as that is the aquatic area, and we want to keep that free of foam. All right, so basically what we have is we have the waterfall pump here. This is a 140 gallon per hour pump that will get the water up to the top for the waterfall. And Christian has ran the cable through this 1.5 inch PVC that's 2 foot in length out the top. That way, once this is all foamed in, if that pump happens to go out, we can easily replace it. Whereas if you foam that cable in, you're done. There is nothing else we can do.
Yep.
And what he just informed me of is these tops actually have little grooves in them, as you can see. Right there. Yeah, so the top can actually go on and everything looks good. So, next step, foam.
Well, planning out what we're gonna foam.
Okay, well there we go. Yeah. So we took one of these rounds. Christian took it outside and sawed it, as you see here. Yeah. And then basically it comes out like this in a few pieces. And then we take these little pieces, you know, cuts it in thirds, and then we cover the PVC pipe where you can't see it. And then when you foam it in, it really nicely covers it up. So what he's doing is kind of finagling the pieces to figure out how they should fit together to make it look the best that you can. And what he was just saying is that you really want to kind of build some shelving as you build up and do things, because you don't want it to just be flat and kind of desolate, because then it just looks like those standard backgrounds you get from a store that are pre-foamed or like this one.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to look like it's store-bought. We want it to look very custom. And he's customizing it. So we have the cork laid out kind of the way it's going to look. There's going to be these multiple shelving kind of things. The waterfall's going to come out over this cork, possibly. We're going to still look into how we're going to do that. And yeah, but this is coming together.
The good thing is with this shelving here, especially these branches, that'll be really good for the animal that's going inside. It'll give it a lot of opportunities to climb. So
yeah, this thing is going to be epic. So essentially what we have is we have the pump down here, feeds the water up the hose, which you can barely see, and you won't be able to see it at all when we're done.
Exactly.
Comes up through this three-way kind of branch right here. And essentially the concept is that it's going to fill this with water, and water's going to spill out of this in every crack, crevice, and hole possible, creating a rain/waterfall effect down into the aquatic section. And I'm telling you, this build is going to be epic, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to Pyro Toad.
For sure.
Because this kid, I'm telling you, I've watched him at many reptile shows build these things out just like this for other people, and they sell so fast because he is literally a master at his trade. He has really taken a passion in this hobby and really has done some crazy things. As an example, I'll give you one sneak peek of one tank in here, and that's this one. So when you look up here, there's a waterfall at the top. this water comes down and you can see it dripping all back in here, down into the rocks, filtering through all of that, which is exactly what I want with this. So, thanks to Pyrotoad. Make sure you go subscribe because you won't be disappointed.
Yep.
So if you watch my video where I built the waterfall in my turtle enclosure, I used these foam, the waterfall foam sealant for that build. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. Just watch this clip. Well, in case you're wondering, I filmed this video on October the 27th, and as you can see my hands, they are covered in waterfall foam. So I highly recommend you wear gloves anytime you work with this particular substance. And as I said before, you got to make sure you wrap your hand before you grab the waterfall foam can.
So basically we're just going to foam in all the way through all the cracks, crevices, and over time the foam will push it up and whatnot, give it a bit more, depth. We'll foam all this corner here, all this corner here, and then we'll foam all the way here, a thin layer, because keep in mind this foam expands. So, and then we just got to make sure we don't go past that because we don't want it to, pull into our aquatic section. So
where am I going to get started?
So first we're going to shake this can up because if you don't, you'll just lose air or the stuff that compresses inside of the can. And the next thing that a lot of people...
It's called the propellant.
Propellant, yeah, my bad. One mistake a lot of people make is they'll foam it like this, or they'll foam it upright. You want to make sure you have it upside down at all times. It allows everything to sink to the top of the can and exit the can properly. So, alrighty, so everything's in place. We're good to go.
So in this part of the build, basically, what Christian is doing is using the spray foam can in order to fill every crack and crevice with spray foam. You don't want to use an overabundance of the spray foam because it does expand significantly, but you do want to get an ample amount down. Like I said, fill in every crack and crevice, every place around the glass where the wood touches, pretty much everywhere. Once you're complete with that, then you're going to move into using the coconut soil bedding, and you are going to liberally spread this all over the top of this wet foam. What that does is that actually allows it to attach to that foam and dry into the foam, giving it a nice dirt texture look. If you miss spots, it's not a big deal because we are going to have to carve a lot of this foam back. So once you carve it back, what you're going to do is you're going to use the 100% silicone, and you're basically going to cover those open areas of foam with 100% silicone, which will allow you to put more dirt on top, allowing it to stick, giving you a nice, actual earthy look. Well, we messed it up, so we're gonna go ahead and blow it up and start over. I'm kidding. What's the next step?
To silicone. So got our brown silicone number 2, 100% waterproof and 100% weatherproof, because you're going to be exposing your silicone to all sorts of things like water and maybe even some heat and whatnot. So you definitely want this. Make sure it's silicone number 2 as well. If you use the wrong silicone, it could be potentially harmful for your animals. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our little trusty knife over here, and we're going to cut back any foam that we want to cut back, and then we'll just silicone all the way across, and then we'll take our dirt here and just sprinkle it over just like we did already so far.
So the footage I'm about to show you is going to be actually Christian putting the silicone in and kind of covering it up and things of that nature. But after you see that, if you want to see this whole entire process, make sure you go check him out and subscribe. So what Christian is doing here is he's using a 100% silicone in brown color to cover up the exposed foam from where he cut it back to give it a more natural look. Once this is covered in silicone, you basically dust it with more of the coconut bedding in order to give it that dirty look that you're wanting. After he was complete with that, he started adding some rocks and other things to it to give it more depth and make it have a more naturalistic look. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Before we get out of here, let's go ahead and take a look at all the fish and everything else that we've got going on in the house. Let's go check this out. Alright guys, well, let's start with the 100-gallon. So if we look in here, you can see one of the angelfish right there, and that is actually Zeckley. Over here, you have Bruce Wayne or Batman. You have Billy. Oh, actually, that's Zeckley. Billy's down there. So that's Billy. There's Zeckley. There's Bruce. And then we have our 2 new angelfish, which somebody said we should name one of them Peter. That one looks like a Peter, as in Peter Parker. And then we still need a name for this one. So comment below and let me know what we should name this guy right here. And yeah, but everything in here is looking good. Now, if you notice, the 100-gallon is now sitting on the floor. Why is that, you ask? That's because the cabinet has now been painted. I still have some finishing work to do on this cabinet, so it is not quite there yet. But we have the cabinet. We have the top that is complete. We have the cabinet doors that are complete. So within days, this whole entire cabinet will be done, which means there will be a rescaping coming on the 100 gallons, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you haven't subscribed and turned on the notification bell, definitely do that now so you do not miss when that scape comes. So yes, make sure you subscribe. Also, comment below and let me know, would you guys like to see a full video on how I redid this cabinet? I definitely have enough footage for an entire video on how to redo the cabinet. I mean, it's a pretty simple process, but a lot of people don't know how to do it. And it definitely is worth it for the price because it is super cheap to do it. If you guys would like a full video on how to restore an old aquarium cabinet, comment below and let me know, and I will definitely make sure that I put a video out doing that. This is not a DIY channel. You know, I'm not doing home improvement projects and things like that. I want to make sure it's content that you guys will actually enjoy. So like I said, if I get enough comments below, let me know to put out that video. I'll definitely put out a video on how to redo an old aquarium cabinet. Moving on to the hamster enclosure. So this is the Syrian hamster enclosure, which like I said, we're going to be relocating that guy into this enclosure at a later date because the little robo hamster just does not use all of this cage. He just likes the sand part, so we're going to be redoing a whole new enclosure for him. Moving over here, this is the pike tank, and there is the black ghost knife fish right there. The pike is right back there, and you can kind of see his nose sticking out right there, kind of. Here, let's just get up under here so you can see him. So if you look right back there, there's his tail. You can see that. And yeah, like literally don't be upset because that's the only way I can see him too, because he just never comes out. So we're gonna have to rescape this whole tank because they have destroyed this thing, but is what it is. Moving over to the rasbora tank. Rasboras look good. There's all the Cory catfish. There is some yo-yo loaches in here. Water is crystal clear as always, thanks to this marine land internal canister filter. Moving over here, we have the show quality betta. I have some, I don't know if this is string hair. It looks like hair algae probably. I need to get that taken care of like right now. But yeah, we got some algae growing in there, which just happens sometimes. Not a big deal, but we'll get that cleaned out. But he is looking fantastic. Moving over to the guppy tank. The two mothers and the father guppy. We have all these little guppy fry that are rolling around in here. They are so happy and everything is looking good. Moving into this tank, we have these guys here. Now I will tell you, this guppy right here has actually started to color up. And if you notice, this is actually a pretty cool guppy. This guppy has an orange nose and an orange tail, and I don't remember what exactly these guys are called, but I think we actually got a decent guppy out of these guppy fry that came from the last tank. So we'll see as that little guy grows up a little more. Moving over here, we got the jade goby. I'm not going to put the light on him because I don't want to mess with him, but he is such a pretty fish, and watch him he thinks I'm trying to feed him because he will, in fact, hand feed. Look at that. Such a good little fish. I definitely like this fish. He's a cool little fish, but I'm not going to feed him right now. I am actually feeding him every other day just because he eats so much. So he will get fed tomorrow. So looking at this indoor pond, if you notice, this thing is really clear and everything looks really, really good in here. What you will notice is that the box is now black instead of white. Here's the reason why. And I'm going to roll some footage from the other day where Max and I actually had to replace the pump filter in this particular pond. Alright guys, well we were in the fish room and basically we were doing some maintenance on the pond and the pond pump would not come back on. As you can see, all of the beneficial bacteria and all of the junk that was caught by the pond box is now inside of here on the ground. So we just simply moved the pond box over into this indoor pond. We're going to drain this in a minute, but it's absolutely disgusting. I don't have any intentions of reusing this box. It's actually really in bad shape, just simply because it's been in here for months and months and months. So we ran out and we picked us up just the universal pump filter box from Home Depot. We're going to replace it with this. And then we have another pump in here that circulates water, which we will show you that when we put that back in here later on. But we're going to go ahead and get this in here and get this thing set back up. Alright guys, well I went in and installed the new pump. As you can see in this corner, you can see the flow and it's pushed this way and it's coming all the way around the indoor pond. But the pump sits right down here. It has a directional nozzle that's pushing it back here. And the reason is because I don't really have anything behind the buildup of the waterfall to keep the water circulating back there. Now, if you notice, that is a lot of flow. But the nice thing about this particular pump, which is a Higer brand pump, is that this pump is completely controllable, so I can change the flow down as much as I want, and if you notice, the flow over there is getting a lot less. So So I've got it down to as low as it'll go, and you can see that it's literally almost standing still now. So what I will do is I'm going to keep this up actually kind of high for right now, because as you can see, the water is completely filthy from the other filter box. So we want to keep a good amount of water flow in this pond. It's actually pushing the water around here. The filter box sits right here underneath the rock, and it is sucking all the dirty water in it, filtering it out, and then obviously pushing it through the waterfall head, as you can see there. I also have added new air hose to the aerator, which you can see is starting to blow here because that air hose had actually broken. So everything in this indoor pond is looking good. Okay, so now we're back. Now you understand the difference in condition that this pond is in from just 2 days ago, because this looks so much better. But if you notice, the bass is ready to eat. He wants to eat too, and he's one of those kind of fit, he just doesn't eat, whatever bass. But everything is looking good in here. Brenton put his little snub-nosed Oscar in his pond. I think I'm actually going to ask him if I can have that fish, and we're going to relocate that into this pond if he's willing to do that. I don't know yet, but I think he'd make a good pair with that tiger Oscar right there, just so he has a friend and they have friends. So we'll see how that goes. He took the 2 pacu out of here and put those in the outdoor pond, so there's enough room for another fish in here. So we may end up doing that. Right here we have the big blue betta and the female betta. This tank is in serious need of a cleaning. We're about to be changing this out, putting those guys in a new tank. Moving up here, this is our guppy slash molly slash everything tank. There's all kinds of stuff in here, and as you can see, there's all kinds of babies in here. So I have no idea what kind of babies. I have no clue whatsoever, but we're gonna find out. I am pretty sure that we have some pretty special looking babies in here, but we're gonna have to wait until they all grow out before we can make that decision. The blackwater tank is overrun with algae at the moment, and it had an algae bloom from something. I'm not really sure, but I gotta get this thing cleaned out, so this is all you're gonna see of this right now until there's a lot of maintenance done on this tank, but everything is looking really good in this tank. Moving down here, we have the little pink belly side neck. Moving over here, we have Elon, the musk turtle, and he is just chilling. Everything in here is looking good. Now that I've learned a lot from Pyrotoad on how to actually scape out a paludarium, this particular tank is gonna get a makeover as well. We're probably going to start over here with more of a terrestrial area that will kind of slope down into some water here, and then have a really cool kind of effect. So stay tuned for that. We'll see how that turns out at some point later. All the rescue bettas are doing good. Moving over here, we got our clownfish. We have our saltwater tank. There's some algae growing in this tank, as you can see, and that is because there is no covering, and that's because Max Robert ripped down the curtain on accident, of course. But we're gonna have to get this covered back up because it's causing algae to grow in the saltwater tank, which is not good. As you can see right out here, we have the pond. The pond is about to get a makeover just simply because it's now springtime and everything is back to normal. We are, however, not going to be relocating the indoor pond fish to the outdoor pond because I like personally having the indoor pond and I have no intentions of getting rid of it. So therefore, we are going to be using the outdoor pond for something else. This particular guy right here has a new home as well that will be coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to give you any secrets on that just yet, but a lot of videos coming. Alright guys, well hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video today. And if you have not taken a chance yet to like the video, please do that. As well as if you haven't taken a chance to comment on the video on what type of animals you think I should be putting into this enclosure, please do that as well. Like I told you in the intro, this is a 3-part enclosure. It being a paludarium, it has a 10-gallon aquarium for an aquatic animal at the bottom, followed by a terrestrial area where you can put a land living animal, followed then by an arboreal area where a tree living animal can live. So what I'd like to know is please comment below, let me know what type of animals you think I should put into this enclosure. So with all of that being said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please stay tuned for part 3, whereas in part 3 we will be planting this paludarium and we will be showing you all the different colorful tropical rainforest type plants we will be placing into this enclosure. So we really appreciate the support. We appreciate the subscriptions, the views. We appreciate everything. So thank you very much. And hey, we will see you next time.